Well, good morning, everybody. Hello. Welcome. Lovely to have your company. On a much slightly cooler day. The only cool day that we've got. Because it's going to get hotter over the next couple of days. Really hot. So, it's Black Country Day as well. 14th of July. So, let me channel my Black Country. An happy Black Country Day, my mates. I hope you have a Boston day if you're home from the Black Country. And you're going to celebrate doing something. I got my flag out the shop. Hanging out the window. Waving across. It's Black Country flag. And we're doing Barmouth today. This is Barmouth in, well, it's not quite North Wales and it's not quite West Wales. But its nickname is Birmingham-on-Sea because it's the everyone from the West Midlands and Birmingham goes to Barmouth because it's directly west. And it's the shortest coast to the West Midlands, the Black Country and Birmingham. And where I'll be over the weekend. I haven't got anybody in the class today, so Jackie, you just jumped in. Jackie's doing the lesson today, so there's a bit of company for me. I might do the whole lesson in Black Country today.
Oh, it is standard.
Do you want me to do it in Geordie as well? No, it's not Geordie dear today though. It's Black Country Day. So I'm using a blue-grey paper. We might not do the clouds like they are, though. Oh, excuse me for yours. It's the heat. Is your hay fever bad today, Jackie? Because mine's a bit... my eyes were running like mad this morning. The birds are suddenly very loud. What's going on? Right. We ought to do some sketching out then. And I think I'll sketch with the white pencil today. Now, interestingly, you should hear the bird song far more online than you've ever been able to since restrictions lifted. Because normally they're on speakers, and they are on speakers here, but they're now on speakers and through the desktop audio. I haven't done that, so it's just the way it is. Are you ready, Jackie?
Yeah.
Right, so we'll have quite a big sky. So round about 3 fingers up from the bottom, roughly, will be the sea line, not sea lion. Which a hand width in is slightly lower, about a pencil width lower, because it's where the other bit of land is. So about 3 fingers up from the bottom, and then a hand width in from the right, round about a pencil width down, and that land is about a thumb width rather than 2 fingers. But we can change. I'm not going to draw the bridge until last, because it'll just muck up if not. It's going to be really tricky to do the famous Barmouth Bridge, which is it is a footbridge, but it's mainly a rail bridge that links Barmouth to Fairbourne over the Morthack estuary, which is what we're looking up towards. So we have Barmouth Harbour here. The main town of Barmouth is on the left, to the left off the picture, and Fairbourne is the other side of the estuary and harbour on the right, kind of behind our shoulder if we're looking at the picture. Barmouth has all the nice sands, Fairbourne has lots of pebbles. Right, now just over a thumb width, I'm just going to put in a very rough, and then bring that down. You've done pastels before, haven't you? Because that's where the grassy stuff is, and then that's the sand. So we just lightly sketch it in. We haven't put the mountains in yet. They've yet to go on. Then a little finger up from that, and it is just a little thin peninsula of sand, like so. And then we'll put the mountains on, and then we can do some stuff. And then the mountains in the background on the right are just over a thumb width, and they go right down like a little bit there, and then this is looking towards Cadair Idris. Cadair Idris, isn't it? Try to follow the contours if possible. There's another one behind there. And with maybe a sort of darker bit going along there. Best done by eye, something like this. We're doing a view of the Lake District next week. But I often do Barmouth scenes round about this week in July every year, because it's when I go to Barmouth, because it's the anniversary of my mum's death this weekend, and it was her favourite place. Well, Barmouth, Fairbourne, this area of Wales was all her favourite spot. And I normally go with my siblings, but this year I'm going by myself. I'm making a couple of days of it. All by myself. Right. It's weird with pastels because I haven't got to say, right, we'll just let it dry. Because it doesn't dry. It is dry. It's already dried. Because it's a pastel. I'm going to get my big sticks out now. Right, it's quite a deep blue at the top and a very icy blue down the bottom. Now I could probably use this for my icy blue with a bit of white, so I'm just using my light blue pencil. If you want it to look more now we're back. No idea what that was. Sorry about that little blip. Technology is wonderful, isn't it? So a bit of blue and a bit of white, pale blue and white. I've used the pencil for this because it is a little bit easier to get closer to the mountains. But I'm going to go in with messy colours now. Deep blue up here. I'm not being solid with it because it's broken up by all of the fluffy clouds. So we've got a deep blue and then I'll find a lighter blue. This is like a purple ultramarine blue here. And then a slightly lighter blue. Here. Randomly blobbing. And maybe a nice pale blue. Now, weirdly, I am going to be blending before I put the clouds on, and the reason for that is because I need a decent weight, and I don't want the white to blend in too much with the blue. I'm going to use my little fingers, my little pinkies. So I've gone dark blue, mid blue, light blue, and I can and probably will blend more. The dark blues are much harder. They're not as soft and pastel-like as the lighter blues, and that's because you get that with random pastels anyway. And generally it's because the pigment is harder, so it needs a different binder. So I'm not aiming to go all over with this. Maybe a little bit of white there. So this is still sky, not cloud. Are you finding the darker ones work differently, Jackie? Although, to be fair, mine is a very old set, and I've realised, you know, that my set of 64 doesn't have the same set of colours as yours. There are certain subtleties in
The one here.
yeah,
The one at home.
the one here. I don't know about the one at home. Depends when you bought
I've
it.
got a 48 one at home.
But there are certain.
But I'd say the only main difference is the lack of neons and a couple of blues.
The shades are just different. It's got 64 colours in, but there's some of them I've got a different version, which is really odd. Right, I'm just going to give this a bit of a blow. Ready for the white clouds. Just wipe my hand a little bit. The dark blue really does stain. Well, now I wonder if we've got a grey pencil. That might be a bit. Well, actually, you've done that really well. So you've actually thought about the shape, which I haven't. Quite annoying, actually, something. Clearly, I gave you the best pastel. Right, so I'm going to start. I might use the pencil to give me a little bit of. It's so difficult for me. I really ought to put that there. That's better for me. I can actually fall on the floor. I used to have it up here all the time, but then the students can't see my face and they used to moan. Goodness knows why. So I'm just going to start sketching out the white clouds. The pencil's much harder than the stick. And then I'm going to wing it for the other bits. The clouds have been phenomenal during this heat wave. Really interesting shapes and patterns. It's amazing how the clouds are very different towards the horizon as opposed to the sort of mackerel clouds. When I took this photo, it was the sky that really drew my attention. So I'm not necessarily blending. I'm more of a tap. Might go in with pencil shortly, just to firm it up a little. But that's the thing to remember when you're working with pastels, is that the pencils are harder. So because they're harder, they're going to give... You're not going to be able to layer them as easily because the pencils are harder, so they won't go on to really multi-layered pieces of pastel as well as a really soft stick. So you might be worth investing in an artist's quality white, either artist quality pencil or an artist's quality white pastel, just to get the better blend. I'm thinking, Jackie, because we've had a box of the Faber-Castell whites in, haven't we? I think today might be a good time to... Yeah, I did. Today might be a good time to work out, see if they're softer or whatever compared to... See if that feels different. So these are the Faber-Castell whites. Does that feel any softer than the Stabilo or the same? Okay, I'm going to try that one. Softer, isn't it?
That was softer.
So I've got 3 pastel pencils here. I've got the Faber-Castell. I can't remember what that retails at. I think about £3. And this one is the Caran d'Ache. But we've got difficulty sourcing the Caran d'Ache ones currently. We need to speak to the rep, don't we? It's just reminded me. It is quite opaque, isn't it, the Faber-Castell?
Yeah, I like it. I think you'll get through walls as it makes it to press something.
Yes. So I'm not blending the pencil. I'll just use varying amounts of pressure. That's really lovely. Can't be doing too well, please.
Okay. Try not to.
I can use the darker blue pastel pencil to enrich and deepen the sky around the clouds just a little. More so at the top. And then I'll go in with the pastel pencil over these to make them fluffier again. So we're half an hour in, but to be honest, I think spending the time on the sky, I mean the sky is 2/3 of this whole picture. It needs the time for it to work, especially because of this sort of mackerel sky. Maybe go over it with the lighter blue pastel pencil. I mean, it all depends what you've got and what control you have. I think there's a customer. Yes, there is. I think it's Emma from next door. I might need to do a slightly darker purple grey. For the cloud. So if I put a bit of dark grey in, I'll add a bit of purple. tapping with the cotton bud to soften. I think something like that will work. Just adding a few extra highlights. So I'm using the soft stick because it is softer than the pencils, and it does allow for a slightly brighter bit of white. So it's good for layering. Like that. I think that'll do. It's hard to judge at this point until the rest of the scene is put into place. So I'm going to go with a very light skimming of ultramarine, the pencil, the dark blue pencil, a little bit of the dark green pencil, and a little bit of white over the distant. Oh, see, I need more blue in there. Because the further away things are, the more blue they are. And I just want it to feel fairly soft. And then I'll be playing with the dark greens, browns and ochres for the rest. I'm going to probably use pencils for the majority of this now, just because I'll find it a bit easier to work with. No other reason. Yep. No, I've got loads of mountain stuff to do. That's what my students say.
I am your student.
I know. They always say, oh, I look up and then you've got something different. But I am saying what I'm doing. It's not like I'm hiding it from you. Plus, you don't need it. Yours is too good anyway. I'm going to ban you from classes.
Are you?
No, not really. Can't ban my bestie. My mountains are looking a bit too voluptuous. I've got to tweak them a little. Bit more dark green, I think. I might add some white to parts of the right far back, just so it feels a little misty in places. I'm learning not to blow it on my laptop because it was absolutely filthy the other week when I tried to clean that. Filthy. Or riffy, as I would say in my native tongue. I'm adding a little bit of black in here. Get some of the tones as dark as I want them. Don't think I'll do any more to that side. Do you know what? I never drew any of the houses in. I'll have to put them in on the left hand side later. But it's amazing how that little bit of land has already made the sky a bit sunnier, brighter. I might finish this bit with a bit of yellow ochre and white. Maybe yellow ochre and pink. Yellow ochre, oh that's better, yeah, yellow ochre and the flesh tone. Perfect for the beach. I will stop for a sec. 10 to 11, can you believe it? I cannot. I am shooketh. How you doing, Jackie? It was looking nice earlier, before I scribbled all over it when you went downstairs. Oh, that is lovely. Oh, that is lovely.
What?
That's nice. Are you using the sticks?
Yeah.
I've been using
I
pencils.
know you have, yeah.
have a bit more control over the pencil. I need to draw that little house. So this side does need to be even darker. So I'll just press down harder and probably introduce a few more blacks and browns. So I'm keeping this nice and textured. I might put little bits of ochre in, but I don't want to go too wild with it because I do want this ultimately to be much darker. And it does have a grey wall at the front. I nearly put my white linen shirt on today and I decided not to because I thought not with pastels. Probably wasn't wise. Quite a breeze today.
Nice.
I'm just looking at the flag really going for it outside. Right, let's make us a cup of tea, yeah?
Okay.
And then we can do the water and the sand and everything afterwards. Can I in? Maybe pastels are your thing. Right. The sea is quite a dark turquoise teal colour. So I'm going to use a few pencils for that. I'll use the dark blue. The light green. And maybe the light blue as well. I'm being quite stingy with my colour. Could throw in a bit of yellow ochre maybe. Yeah, I haven't gone as dark as it is in the picture. Ochre and pink. I might do some black bits in the water, but I'm not sure yet. customer, I think.
Okay.
Jackie's hands are rather dirty. Just doing a few little dark dimples and ripples in the water. Nothing too excitable. I'll do the same with some white, and then I am going to have to do the bridge in a minute. I'm putting that off. Might go and use a ruler. Sorry about the squeak. Glad that happened when Jackie wasn't in. I don't think I can put the bridge off any longer, you know. I'm hoping my pencil is sharp enough, because we've got goes into 2 pillars there, a little gap, 3 pillars, little gap. That's an arch. That's an arch. So it gets narrower towards the right, so it goes into a wedge shape, I suppose. Yeah, something like that. Because I can't do any boats or anything until that's on. I'm just going to see if I've got a red pencil knocking about. And an orange one for the RNLI boat. Because there's all the little red life buoys. Well, not life buoys, boat buoys. Or whatever they are. I'm going to just sharpen my white again. I want a decent point. For my boats and masts. Just sharpening your pencil, that's all. Right. White pencil. I've done loads and I've put the bridge in while you've been serving. So I'll shove a few little white boats and masts. Because it is a busy harbour, there's not very many boats in this. Oh. But just having a few little white sticks going up in the air makes it feel more harbour-like. There are white buoys in the water and red ones. I don't know if I'll do the orange boat. Are you going to do the orange boat, Jackie?
No idea yet. It's a mystery.
I might make it a white boat.
It's a mystery. Who knows?
looking good though. I definitely think you should do more pastels. So a bit of brown and a bit of ochre, but the foreground on the right is all pebbles. But you can see how it changes. Each layer we've had makes a big difference to the whole scene. Right, pebbles next. So it'll be lots of greys, whites. Maybe a bit of black. It'll be very dotty and dabby. So we know this is all grass here. Might just do a few. Dark. You could make each stone a stone, but it will take you forever. But you could make them that your dots kind of a little bit bigger as you get towards the foreground, and maybe more sort of oval or stone shaped. This is just black. Some grey. a bit of white. You alright?
Yeah, I'll come to stare at the bridge. I
So
didn't
it's
do the
that
bridge.
wide, goes off to a thin line, and then it's just two arches.
Oh, it's got arches.
Just two. Oh, I haven't even biggened the screen for you, have I?
No, it's very difficult. I can't see those arches on the picture.
Oh, well, they are definitely there. I've made them a bit more pronounced.
I honestly can't see them.
We'll be putting grasses on this. So that's that bit. Don't forget your tea. Need to put some more sand on, and then the grass. It's still fairly like that, but I might have to put some dark bits in to create a bit of shadow or something, I don't know. I'm using the flesh tone and the ochre because it gives a really good colour. Okay. But everything's going a bit crazy.
That's really weird that the ridge is like reflecting this.
No, I know. But also, the actual device that I'm using, the software doesn't say that it's disconnecting, but the laptop says it is disconnecting. So maybe it's the laptop just a bit overheated.
Probably.
Right, dark green grass now. I'll go and sharpen this in a sec. Need anything sharpening while I'm up? Okay. Oh, that looks really nice. What colour did you use for your thing?
Crimson.
What, all of them? Or all of
No.
them?
Just put it all in.
Really lovely. She's very good, you know, Jackie is. Oh, customer, sorry.
Okay.
You must have snuck in while I was sharpening. So we've got the light green, this is the dark green rather. Might use a bit of dark brown on the left side because I think the light's going from the right. Just looking at it more than anything. I definitely need light on there. Light green, perhaps. There should be some light ochre within it. However, it'll just end up looking like grass if you're not careful. I think I definitely need to do some darky bits with a bit of black. Maybe something like that. I could spend a bit more time with the pebbles. Maybe I will for a few minutes. A few more defined actual pebble shapes. Yeah, you know what? I don't think I can do any more to this. I'm very pleased with how it has turned out. I'm just trying to see if I can find. Let's have a look. Next week. Now I think it's a really interesting image next week. is, look, it's this, it's all land and reflection. And some trees of the Lake District. We might put a bit of sky in, I don't know, because it's quite I might tweak it, because this is a square image and we don't do square. I'll see how we get on. Yeah, I think I will maybe call this one finished. Although the sand, I don't know if I need a little bit more light colour on the sand. Where the light's hitting it. Yeah, I think that's done now. Have you enjoyed it, Jackie? I think yours is fascinatingly amazing. Huh? It is what it was, unless you've ruined it in the last 10 minutes. It's looking fab. I mean, when you look at it again, there's so many bits that you think, oh, I could have changed this, or I could have added this, and I could have done that. But you know, at the end of the day, you do what you've got. It's a bit better. Yeah, right, I am going to stop because I'll just keep fiddling and it isn't necessarily going to improve. I'll put my big pastels away because then I won't be tempted. At least I'll only be tempted with the pencils. But no, I shouldn't. I'm pleased with how that's come out. I did this as a demonstration in watercolour last month. So it'd be interesting to compare. It's the same photograph I've used. So it'd be very interesting to compare the differences or similarities in using watercolour or Pastels. Maybe a little bit of brown. Look like the darker sand there. I've done Barmouth Harbour. I did Barmouth Harbour on Tuesday, but a different view in acrylics. So I'll have done it, and I did the old rusty boat as a demo on Saturday in gouache. So I've done Barmouth this last month, over the last 4 weeks, in as many different media as I can. There'll be more to come, and then when I go away this weekend, there'll probably be more photographs. I'll try and think of different ones, or some sunsets or something. So thank you so much for your company. It's been lovely to spend some time with you. I'll take a photograph of this and pop it in the group. So take care, stay hydrated, put your sun cream on. It's going to get warm before I see you next. So take care. Bye bye everybody. Bye bye.